okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm Devesh Panchal. Earlier this year, my wife decided to take a few weeks off to go back home after 10 years to see her family. And I got stuck running our rental property business, which is 120 units in St. Louis. But just in a few days, I was so furious and frustrated with the amount of work I had to do to lease one apartment. So I called my landlord buddies, and they were like, yeah, leasing is pain, especially with millennials. So I called them.
I thought they lived in their parents' basements.
So I called my friend Adam Lorenzen, who's Chief Product Officer for the company. And we started talking. We talked to lots of landlords. We did tons of research. And we said, there has to be a better way. There has to be less.
And I was from Olin Business School MBA student.
That's us.
God.
Your voice changed.
All of a sudden. Okay. Melissa?
Yeah.
Is this clicker enabled? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it for you guys?
Yes.
Just need to say something about business.
There you go. All right. So why is it so hard to find a qualified tenant? Now, because of internet marketing, landlords are bombarded with communication from renters. So you get emails, phone calls, and text. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is. They just want information right now. And majority of the landlords, they have a full-time job like most of us here. And they are running their properties with no professional help. So what ends up happening? They end up making poor business decisions, like choosing high-risk tenant. That costs them real dollars. And it is so demanding because most of the steps are manual. Pre-qualification, scheduling, showing. You have to take time from your personal life, get to the property before the showing happens. And you have to make sure your property is presentable. And what happens is half of your scheduled appointments doesn't even show up. And the other half that showed up, you give little to no feedback. So it's a huge hassle for landlords to actually lease an apartment. But that's just one side of the story. There is other side of the equation here, which is if you're looking for a place to rent, you've already spent a couple of hours, or I don't know how many hours in the evenings or nights, in looking for a place online. You start talking to landlords, you send emails, you send text, and if you send emails to 20 or text to 20, you are lucky if you hear back from 5. And each of the landlords have their own process on how they pre-qualify renters. So depending on where you went to school or how you talk on the phone on that day, you may get overlooked. And landlord wants to schedule the showing when they are available, not when the renter is available. So what happens? Well, life happens and you might miss your showing. So both parties are doing so much of work, but the outcome is still not very optimal. So at Key PLS we solve that. A landlord installs a smart lock, and in less than 10 to 15 minutes, their property is ready for tour. If you're a renter, you download our app, pay just one-time pre-qualification fees, and you get access to hundreds of local apartments in a safe viewing community. Once the lease is signed, landlord will pay us fixed percentage of the lease amount. And guys, we are not building Pinterest. We don't need 1 million free users to click before we make money. This is very scalable business. Every time we touch a landlord, we will make money. Because every time landlord leaves, we make money. We are vested into success of landlord to make money. There is a competition here. Majority of the competition is focused on to either marketing side. So most of you guys are probably familiar with apartments.com or Hotpads and Zillow. They are all focused on getting the marketing better. And the other guys who are into touring, they are all on the large properties. So large apartment buildings or large conglomerate, that's who the market is focused on. But we are focused on actually small guys with 1 to 5 to 10 properties who are like everyday people. And it turns out that's a huge market. There are 22 million apartments in the US that needs new renters every year. Every year. And about 80% of these landlords, they are independent. They are like people like you and me who has a full-time job and who has invested into a few properties here and there. They are our target customers. And among renters, there are 55 million millennials. And in next 10 years, there are 20 million more coming. And frankly, I think they would prefer more convenient way to lease. We have commitment from local landlords representing 1,000 doors. We have functional prototype. We have tested our solution just a few blocks from where we are sitting in historic Soulard. We've done 20 plus on-demand tours and renters loved it. We spoke to 32 landlords, 12 of them signed up as a beta customer. We are Arch Grant finalists, so we released our pitch video last week, and in just a week, we got more than 700 views and comments from social media from all over the world, UK, Canada, Australia, India, about how this product can actually help their local market. And our operating margin are pretty good because our hardware is very inexpensive. But you know, good ideas don't go anywhere without the right team. Our team is made up of people who's built businesses before and who's been extremely successful in their professional career. Gardner, he spent 15 years in tech innovation with Fortune 200 companies. Daniel, he's the owner of a company called the Tenant Factory. They have executed real estate rental transaction worth of $75 million in last 5 years alone. Adam has built several physical and digital products throughout his career. I've spent 15 years in technology, including biotech, and 10 years as a real estate investor. So our team knows how to manage risk and how to put capital to work. So we have lofty goals. We want to be in 1 million doors in next 5 years. But if you look at our first year goal is $1 million. Among 1,000 doors we have, we will actually get 50% of that through our beta customers. And what we are doing is landlord is very tight community. They talk. So we are bringing early influencer. We are bringing influencer on our beta program. So when they go to the real estate clubs, they can talk about us. That brings the rest of the customer for our first year's target. From there, we plan to grow nationally. But we are not just going to stop at leasing. We're going to be offering other products. Products like background counseling, offering lock subscription to tenants so that they don't have to go ahead and buy that lock. For just one fixed amount of per month, they can actually rent this lock from us. And one of my favorite, we're going to be offering small to mid-term leases. This is very, very interesting. I personally spoke to developers out of Memphis and Nashville, and they got really excited about how much more money they can make through short-term leasing. Nobody does this today. Nobody. Besides Airbnb, I guess. But they are very, very weekend focused or 2 to 5 days or a week focused. But right now, what we are trying to do is break into brand new market that just did not exist before. We are right here in St. Louis. We are in the process of filing our patent paperwork. We want to launch here and we are raising capital. And the capital is essentially going to go towards the lock. We have established partnership with a global lock manufacturing company, and we want that volume. We want to be able to order locks in volume, and we want to scale outside of St. Louis. I'm committed to make this happen. I was a director for Monsanto, for strategy and information. I've given up my job to drive this business forward, and we just need your guys' support and your guys' help to make this a success. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And we will now take questions. Wait for the mic just so the video can pick you up a little bit better. Who wants to start? Question for Division.
So the lock that you guys are looking to create, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
Like smartphone, accessible, that type of thing?
Yeah, the lock we are using right now for prototype is, you can buy that at Home Depot.
Okay.
But that's what we are just doing for testing. We are actually developing a proprietary lock that solves some of the infrastructure problems. So most of the apartments will not have Wi-Fi. So we are planning to put our chip, basically a board into a lock so that we can communicate through cell phone, things like that.
Cool.
Sure. So, good presentation. As part of your pricing model, I noticed that there was a $10 identity verification fee, and that goes toward, or that fee is paid by the potential tenant?
Correct.
Okay. Could you explain your decision to charge that $10 fee versus a free model?
Free model. Great question. We have debated this point over and over, and we might actually go free. The only reason we are charging $10 is some of the verification firms we are working with, they do charge that much. And think about from a value, right? We are offering conveniency to people, like you can go check out place anywhere, anytime you want. And at a $10, it acts as a filter to people who are actually serious in renting. We just want to make sure people who walk in, we don't want to give a free access to 20 minutes into an apartment. So that's one reason. The second reason is because we are incurring the cost, we have to pass that cost somehow to either party. And that's why we are charging up front. If we find as we grow and if we have a little bit of cash, we'll be probably looking at maybe just offering for free down the road, but that's something we talk and potential strategy.
It's probably something that's been debated, but my concern with that, of course, is that you're restricting your own growth. And, personally, from just, I'm part of your target market, and, as are many of my cohorts, but, if you're worried about filtering out those who are serious versus not, the mere fact that you'll probably require them to submit documentation of some kind to the firm is probably going to be a barrier enough to push out the other people. So
that's a great feedback. So in our app, what we are asking is we are asking them to take a picture of their photo ID. We are asking their social security number and date of birth, right? I mean, so you're giving some of the credentials before you walk into the door. That's pretty good if somebody wants to go after you and if you're damaged or something. So absolutely, it can act as a filter.
And it's your ID and not somebody else's.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But we do verify that, right? And that's one of the reasons why we charge. But yeah, it's a fantastic question, and it's our current capital position is restricting us. But certainly down the road, it makes total sense. Yes.
Hi Devash, I liked your ideas about the influencer marketing. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing for those influencers, how you found them, for example?
Yeah, so out of 4 on our team, 2 of us are real estate investors. So Daniel, his company is he's owner of a company called the Tenant Factory. We are a member of several local real estate clubs. So the way real estate business works is if you're a real estate investor, you want to talk to some of the people like you, and you pretty much attend maybe once a month kind of thing where it's an evening gathering where other investors are coming up. And most of those clubs have what we call an influencer, right? Somebody who's actually organizing it. And real estate investors are always like, hey man, this guy's got 50 units, I want to be like him. So whatever he does, I'm going to copy him. So what we're doing is that guy who has 50 units or the guy who's actually, that may not have all the units, but organizing events, we bring them on our platform.
For free?
And we want them to talk about our platform because we want to obviously solve the pain for him or her, and obviously that brings additional customers for us. Does that
So for free? Yeah.
Yeah, free marketing. Low dollar free marketing.
To them, right. And then,
Absolutely.
okay, excellent, thanks.
So it sounds like a lot of the technology that you're using currently is just kind of commodity off-the-shelf kinds of technologies. What's to stop another company in a much larger market from copying this quickly and putting out their own solution?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think there are some real inhibitors just from the commodity technology. To give you an example, empty apartments by definition will not have Wi-Fi, and we are solving through some of proprietary technology to be able to do that. So that's one example. I guarantee you there is going to be a company with a lot more capital who's going to be trying to mimicking what we are doing. But I can also tell you that they will not do exactly what we are doing because we're going to be pivoting and we're going to be incorporating new strategies as we grow. So yes, we want to grow as fast as we can, but there is going to be competition in the market and we are prepared to deal with it, honestly. Does that answer your question?
I think it's best you probably can.
Okay.
So, good presentation, by the way, and I think that the questions have kind of answered some of the questions I had.
Sure.
My question is, you're focused on residential market right now. Have you thought about commercial? This has had applications in commercial leasing. Obviously, the you know, your percentage yield is going to be, your
Lot
revenue is
more.
going to be much more,
A
so.
lot more bigger. So we talked about saying, do we go, which direction we go, and I'm talking to a few of the commercial realtors.
Okay.
For example, David Schlafly is
Sure.
one of the local, so very successful commercial broker, and I'm trying to understand, we have to understand the market and
Absolutely.
understand the
What
pain
the
point.
structure is.
And what we don't know, we know for a fact that the residential market has this pain point around both parties doing a lot of, goes through a lot of hassle. We just need to make sure is that equally representable in commercial, and that could be definitely some other opportunity down the road.
So you are thinking about that as a possibility?
Absolutely.
If there's an application for that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are just right now laser focused on bringing
Sure.
this to a success. We
Absolutely.
want to make sure we can please local landlords and make some money, and eventually, absolutely.
Very good.
Anything else?
On about the third slide, there was a double.
Can't hear you, Rebecca.
Talking to the microphone.
There we go, thank you. Now, the $10 fee is for the renter,
Correct.
and then the $99 fee is per lot for the leaser.
Correct.
Okay, and then, okay, so then they would pay the $99 up front, and then 3.8% of lease. Is that forever? Is that an ongoing thing? So if the person is in there for 5 years, you receive 3.8% of the whole entire?
Not really. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Yes. So the way market works. So right now, if you go out and talk to some of your friends or somebody who is in the real estate business, market charges on 1 month rent. That's what market charges. If you're a brokerage company or if you're a human property management company, that's what they'll charge. We are charging half of that one time. So 1 year lease is one-time fee. And if landlord keeps them that renter for 5 years, great, good for them. And actually, that's what landlords want. They want quality tenants who stays for a longer time. And that's a problem we are solving for them. We just charge one time, 1 year's lease cost.
Okay, so then the $99 for the lot, is that for that particular location, or is that given to the leaseor as, okay, here is the lot, you use that however many times you want to, and then just pay 3.8% of the money?
Good question. So there are a couple of ways what landlords can do with the lock. One of the things they can do is they can actually just take the lock and go take it, put it on the next unit if they want to lease it. That's one option. But we would prefer rather saying we will actually sell the lock as on a monthly basis to rent. Saying, hey renter, you just moved in here for $5 extra bucks a month. Would you just like to keep this lock so you can share the keys with your friends? So that the landlord doesn't have to pay on ongoing, and landlord still gets the benefit. There are ecosystem benefits here. For example, and what do I mean by that is, city inspector has to come in and inspect the unit before somebody moves in. Well, landlord has to physically be there to go down and lock the door for city inspector. A plumber sometimes have to go and work on the pipes. Those are the areas. Those are the downstream impact or downstream benefits for landlord, as well as for renter from this solution. So our strategy is to, while we are selling $99 lock, but we want to keep the lock forever or as long as we can. But other choice landlord would have is they can always move the lock to the next unit.
Okay, I actually picture this as being an add-on lot, like when you're selling a house, that the realtors all have access to. But it sounds like, is this one that actually replaces the regular lock?
We've tested many locks. The one we are doing is actually, it's not a deadbolt replacement. It actually goes on the top of your, on the back door, it goes on the top of your lock and acts as essentially you don't change the lock. It's just something that goes on the top of your lock in the back. I wish I could explain a little bit better, but we can't show the pictures because of patents and whatnot.
So, I mean, it's a very interesting set of technologies. I mean, it seems like it's really powerful. What kinds of information security concerns do you have, and what kinds of hacking concerns do you have? I could see that it would be great to unlock a whole apartment building with one stroke.
Yeah, so I think, so smart locks in general, actually that industry has some issues in terms of being a lack of security standards. So some of our solutions, some of the most industry's prominent hackers have been actually part of our team as a part of testing. So Netflix, one of the guys, Netflix head security engineer, he's a friend of mine, and one of the first time we wrote a code, we had him and his team take a look at it, and they're like, yeah, we'd love to be part of your team to test it. But we actually want to raise the whole standard for the industry. We actually want to offer hackathons to be able to get in and break these laws, because we want to raise the standard for everybody else in the market. It's been a very fragmented approach so far in this industry, and we see that as an opportunity, honestly, to help everybody.
Random, I don't know if I need to take.
Yeah, you're pretty close to it.
Yeah. I feel like I could talk about the lock for a long time because it's super interesting and it's a super interesting industry. And I know that's just a part of your business model. Home innovation is on the forefront of everyone from Apple to
Sure.
Google just announced a home like Echo thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys in the kind of like on your radar or on foresight to kind of integrate with like an Echo or a home based thing to where you can say, or even to like maybe notify a police department if something's getting broke into, or I don't know. I could talk about the lock, I think, for a very long time.
No, so again, we are real estate guys, and we think from a real estate first.
Sure.
So one of the first use cases we have thought about is today, if you're a tenant, this is a real problem for my tenants.
Right.
Especially for women in 20s and 30s. They want to make sure who's entering their apartment, what time, what are they doing, right, in the apartment. Right now, there is no solution except my maintenance guy, Bob, right, who's always seemed like weirdo, right, entering their apartment. So one of the things we're trying to do is, well, hey, if you put this lock, we will let you know when the maintenance guy went in and went out. That's a huge value to renters. So that's one angle we're thinking about.
Just like the analytics of.
Absolutely. So we get full visibility. Landlords, before properties get rented, landlords get anonymous demographic information about people. There are 5 people who walked into your apartment with such and such criteria, no names and everything. And it also opens up their doors in terms of getting feedback. Hey, this carpet has stained. You're not going to say that to the guy who's just letting you in, like, man, this is ugly. But if you have to just say, type it in and give that feedback to landlord, it works well.
Okay.
We would rather, in terms of your question about where do you kind of grow from technology point of view, there are other areas for us to kind of get into some sensing and cameras and other areas that actually delivers real life value for real estate market is where we are thinking about growing. But Nest and some of those things maybe someday, but right now it's just not appealing for the landlords.
That makes sense.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. That was great.
I agree.
Anything else to add?
Right.